Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. This story is about OP who refused to tell her husband the gender of their baby after he decided not to go to the doctor's appointment with her. Now she's wondering if she crossed the line. Savor the tea. My husband and I are expecting. This is our first baby and we're excited. The thing is, he barely attends any doctor's appointments with me and his excuses aren't even valid. He's willing to miss the doctor's appointment over soccer or a drink or board game with his friends. His response is always, "I'm not the one carrying the baby. Why do I have to go see the doctor with you?" Last week was my final straw. He was supposed to come with me for the baby's gender reveal appointment, but he chose not to come at the last minute because his friend invited him to a fish and chips meal. I was pretty livid, but didn't make a fuss about it. Mom went with me instead. He texted asking me to tell him the results, boy or girl, but I refused to tell him. He kept spam calling me, but I hung up each time. He came home fuming, demanding I tell him the results, but I refused and bluntly told him that since he refused to attend the appointment, he gets no results till after the baby's born. I said I was willing to die on this hill. He went off, calling me spiteful and immature for doing this and punishing him. He said he's a father and he has the right to know. He then called me dramatic since I wasn't alone and Mom was with me. I said he gets no results, period. He's been fuming about it and told his family, and they're now pressuring me to stop playing mind games with him and tell him. But I declined. Did I cross a line? Edit update. Hi, so first of all, wow. I didn't expect this to blow up. Sorry I can't answer any comments because I'm feeling overwhelmed. I just wanted to mention that my husband just attempted to contact my doctor to get the results. It didn't go well and we had another argument over it. He couldn't get it since his mom was the one who made the call. Oh no, he didn't. This man really had the nerve to skip his baby's gender reveal for some fish and chips with his buddies? And now he's acting like he's entitled to the results? Boy, bye. I don't blame you one bit for not telling him the gender. He can't just pick up and choose which appointments he wants to attend and expect to be fully involved in the pregnancy. He needs to step up and be a supportive partner. And now he's even going behind your back and trying to get the results from your doctor? That's a whole other level of disrespect. I hope he knows that this is not how you treat your pregnant wife. You definitely haven't crossed the line in this situation. Your husband needs to get his priorities straight and start acting like a responsible parent. Otherwise, he might miss out on a lot more than just the gender reveal. But let's hear what some comments have to say. You didn't cross the line. Already a deadbeat dad before the baby's even born. You didn't cross the line. If he's telling you, "I'm not carrying the baby, why do I have to go to the doctor with you?" That's going to turn into, "I didn't push out that baby. Why should I have to look after it?" Real quick. You didn't cross any lines. My ex pulled this with our second child and I caved and told him, I shouldn't have. You need to seriously reconsider this relationship. He's showing you that he and his friends are more important than you and the baby. He sees going to appointments with you as punishment, not as a chance to make sure you and the baby are healthy. Don't be like me and stay until he leaves you for another woman. The comments are correct. OP really needs to consider what she wants out of this relationship. She needs to think ahead and visualize what her life will be like after the baby is born. Good luck, OP. This story is about OP who decides to teach her autistic daughter a lesson, and now she's wondering if she crossed the line. I have an autistic 14-year-old who has terrible hygiene. I have to fight with her to get her to shower, brush her teeth, and clean up after herself during her period. It's disgusting. Blood everywhere and the constant washing of underwear. She sees no problem with her inability to clean herself up. I told her that people are going to bully her in school if she smells bad, and that it's hard to recover from that socially, and she ignored me. Well, she had her period last week. I picked her clothing and allowed her to wear white pants. I wanted to see if she would clean up after herself so that the pants would be clean when she came back home. Before I even dropped her off, the pants were red. I stayed silent. I dropped her off like normal. She needed to learn how these types of situations will impact her social life if she continues to live like a slob. She came home in tears. The kids were ruthless. She was mocked for her strong smell and the red on her pants. It hurt me to see her like this, but I was not seeing the changes that had to be made. For the rest of the week, she took good care of herself. There were no stains, she showered herself, and would spray perfume to maintain a flowery scent. My husband and I fought about this though. He called me some very hurtful words because of my choice. He said I handled it poorly and that she'll be paying for this for the rest of the school year. I see it as a life lesson and it actually yields results, unlike my husband's soft approach. So did I cross the line for the way I taught my daughter a lesson? What the hell, lady? Your daughter has autism and you thought it was a good idea to embarrass her and subject her to bullying at school? That is not a life lesson. That is cruel and insensitive. And to top it off, you're proud of yourself for doing it? You definitely crossed the line in this situation. Your daughter needs understanding and support, not shame and ridicule. It's not her fault that she has difficulty with hygiene. It's a common issue with autism. Your husband is right. You handled it very poorly. There are better ways to encourage your daughter to take better care of herself. You could have sought out resources and support for her, worked with a therapist to come up with a plan, or found a way to incentivize her. But no, you chose to humiliate her and put her in a painful situation. I hope you realize the harm you've caused and apologize to your daughter, and I hope you learn to be a better parent and advocate for your child. Some comments said, "You crossed the line." Before I even dropped her off, the pants were red. I stayed silent. You allowed her to be humiliated by her peers at school. Actually, hang on. I picked her clothing and allowed her to wear white pants. So you actually picked her clothing? You didn't simply fail to point out the risk from her clothing color choice. You actively chose white pants. You caused her to be humiliated. You failed as a parent. We never set our kids up for failure. We never intentionally throw them to the wolves. We're here to help, to teach, to love, to guide, and to set them up for success. It is well known that autistic girls face added challenges to menstruation. Clearly, you need to address this core issue. It's likely time to explore different products. Please consider period panties as part of the solution set. And please educate her and empower her to try a variety of options and settle on what she feels best with. Good Lord, that's brutal. What a horrible thing to do to your own child. Your husband is correct. She'll be paying for this for a long time. Maybe forever. This story is about OP, who wants her maid of honor to spend the day before the wedding with her. I'm new to Reddit. My future brother-in-law suggested I post here. My fiancé and I are getting married in August. We happen to share the same birthday and our wedding is the day after. My maid of honor also has the same birthday as us. So for the day before the wedding, I had suggested to Bex that she join us, mine and fiancé's family, for lunch and then help me to prepare for my wedding day. I also asked that she share a hotel room with me the night before so she can be there for me the moment I wake up to support and calm me. She agreed to stay in the hotel with me but was a bit vague about agreeing to lunch, as she said she didn't know if she would have plans. This was a few weeks ago. Skip to today and Bex's husband Lee messages me to say he's organized a romantic day for Bex's birthday, ending with a concert. He told me that it was going to be a surprise for her, so he was letting me know in advance so I could plan for her absence the day before the wedding. I'll admit that I became sharp with Lee. I told him it was inconsiderate of him to book something for Bex the day before my wedding when he knew she had responsibilities. Lee told me I was a crazy bridezilla if I thought I was going to make Bex do slave labor on her birthday. Bex is really good at organizing and she loves to help. I don't think she'd see it that way. Lee did say that if Bex still wanted to come back to my hotel after the concert that he wouldn't stop her, but that I absolutely cannot have her during the day. I went to one of my bridesmaids, Val, and she agreed with Lee that I obviously have to let Bex go off and enjoy her birthday. I told Val I was annoyed that Lee hadn't even asked me if I could spare Bex, but he had just told me she wasn't going to be available. I also told her that Lee hadn't even offered me his concert ticket so that Bex, my maid of honor, and I could have a fun evening together the day before my wedding. She told someone what I said, and now I'm getting hateful messages from my other bridesmaid and friends saying I can't behave that way. All I want is to spend the day before my wedding with my maid of honor. Am I crossing the line? I'll add that I don't know if Bex knows yet. She's organized so much for me, so I think that she would help me if I asked her. Edit. For everyone asking why I'm relying on Bex so much, it's because my fiancé hasn't been much help during the whole process, so I obviously need someone to lean on and talk to about my vision for the day. Edit 2. I can't afford a wedding planner. Oh boy, it looks like we've got a bridezilla on our hands. Now, I'm not one to judge, but girl, you are really out here tripping. First of all, you're getting married, not coronated as queen of the world, so let's calm down a little bit. Secondly, it's your maid of honor's birthday, not her sentencing day. It's perfectly reasonable for her husband to want to do something special for her on her special day. But you're acting like a spoiled child who is not getting her way. You're upset that Bex might not be available to help you with your wedding prep because she has other plans. How dare she have a life outside of your wedding, right? And then you go and complain to your other bridesmaids, who blabs to everyone else, and now you're getting hate messages. You're acting like a diva and not the good kind like Beyonce. Look, I get that planning a wedding can be stressful, but you need to take a step back and realize that the world does not revolve around you. Bex is your friend and your maid of honor, not your personal assistant. So stop being so entitled and let the poor girl have a little fun on her birthday. And for the love of all that is holy, don't be going around talking smack about people behind their backs. That's just plain tacky. Let's hear what some comments have to say. Wow, huge, you crossed the line. Seems to me like you've been taking advantage of a kind friend. Let your maid of honor enjoy her birthday. She'll be there for you at the wedding. Also, you're a bridezilla. You crossed the line, bridezilla. Your maid of honor does actually have a life of her own. She's not your emotional support animal. I told him it was inconsiderate of him to book something for Bex the day before my wedding when he knew she had responsibilities. What responsibilities does she have the day before your wedding? Going to your birthday lunch isn't a maid of honor responsibility. Lee hadn't even offered me his concert ticket so that Bex, my maid of honor, and I could have a fun evening together the day before my wedding. This is a joke, right? You're being over the top and you really need to take a step back. You crossed the line, bridezilla. You realize you're the only person who really cares that you're getting married, right? You definitely crossed the line. This story is about OP, who refused to take care of her grandchildren on a trip her son paid for. I have one son, 30 male, and 2 grandchildren, 4 male and 5 male. I take care of them 2 or 3 times a week for 3 to 4 hours a day. I don't mind taking care of them, but it's exhausting. At the beginning of November, my son invited me to go with him, his wife, children, and in-laws on a trip from the 15th to the 22nd of December. I asked how much this trip was, and it wasn't cheap, so I said I didn't want it because it wasn't something I wanted to spend on at the moment. He offered to pay for me as a gift, and I decided to accept, on the condition that I would not babysit my grandchildren at any time and this would be my vacation. He agreed. In a few spaced conversations, I asked why they didn't leave the children with my ex-husband during this period, as it was a very adult and romantic city. They said they wanted a family trip. By the way, my ex-husband loves his grandkids and they spent almost 3 weeks at his house once. He didn't go on the trip for other reasons. On the trip, I wasn't very proactive in taking care of my grandchildren. Honestly, apart from a few well-spaced moments, my son, his wife, and his in-laws took care of the kids. I obviously spent time with them though. This trip, we basically spent the morning and afternoon together. At night, we were free to do whatever we wanted. I took the opportunity to visit some restaurants and hopping, alone. My son and his wife took turns with his in-laws at night with my grandchildren because most places weren't family-friendly. On the 6th day, I decided to stay at the hotel, drink some wine, and read a book. My son found out I was staying at the hotel and asked if I could look after them. I declined, saying I had other plans in my room. He started to complain that everyone was helping and taking turns except me, who didn't help with the whole trip he paid for. This really pissed me off. I reminded him that it was his choice to bring 2 children to a completely non-family friendly city, and that I said before even accepting his gift that I would not take care of the children because I just wanted to relax. We ended up arguing, and he said, among other things, that I could be a little bit more grateful for his gift and make this concession for 3 hours for them and the in-laws to have a free night, but that I'm deciding to be a jerk. I stuck to it, and knowing he wouldn't respect this, I ducked into the pool area the whole night. He tried to show up in my room with the kids and just dropped them. Things have been tense ever since, as he said I was a jerk the whole trip. Did I cross the line? Ugh, this story's got me feeling some kind of way. Let me break it down. So we have OP who takes care of the grandkids a few times a week and is willing to do it but finds it exhausting. I hear you. And then her son invites her on a fancy trip with the whole family, and even though it's expensive, he offers to pay for her as a gift. Now here's where things get interesting. OP agrees to go, but with the condition that she won't be responsible for taking care of the grandkids. And her son agrees to this. So far, so good, right? But then on the 6th day of the trip, her son asks her to look after the grandkids for 3 hours, and OP says no, because she's already made it clear that she's on vacation and doesn't want to be responsible for the grandkids. OP made it clear from the beginning that she wasn't going to be responsible for the grandkids, and her son agreed to that. I don't think OP crossed the line here. She was upfront about her boundaries from the beginning, and her son agreed to them. And if she wants to spend a night reading a book and drinking wine in her hotel room, that's her prerogative. Maybe they could have had a conversation before the trip about what everyone's responsibilities would be so that everyone was on the same page. And it's not fair to expect her to take care of the grandkids when she's on vacation and has already made it clear that she's not going to. Let's hear what some comments have to say. You didn't cross the line. Imagine holding a trip over your mother's head, your main caregiver, the audacity. You didn't cross the line. You explained your boundaries before accepting the all-paid-for vacation. You set the expectation, and he shouldn't have assumed you would change. You didn't cross the line. It was a gift. You were upfront about no babysitting. You already look after grandchildren as it is. The comments directed at you indicate that they plan to have you babysit on the sly. OP's son is the one who crossed the line. I'm glad OP stood her ground and refused to babysit. What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below.